On the second night of a back-to-back against the same Pelicans team, the Warriors put on an absolute defensive showing led by our own Defensive Player of the Year in Draymond Green. A day after Zion Williamson lit the Dubs up, I want to highlight how Dray and the rest of his teammates exposed Zion in a defensive masterpiece, shutting him down with a 5 for 20 showing with just 12 points. So let's break it down. I want to preface everything by saying no one will ever continuously shut Zion down. There's only making his life difficult. When Williamson gets the ball here, Dray's got his feet set, angling his body to force him to his weak right hand. Behind Dray is Trayce Jackson-Davis, a clear help position, playing off a non-offensive threat in Daniel Theis. This would be the general theme, as Draymond anticipates that first body bump, knowing that Zion always uses that first one to create space, then getting a hand up to contest his 8-foot jumper. The Warriors will absolutely live with a short mid-range any day of the week. Another classic example, Theis and Zion going for a dribble handoff for him to attack with a strong left hand, but Draymond's literally sitting with both feet in the paint waiting. I know Dray had 5 fouls last night, but like I said, it's impossible to fully stop the monster. Zion takes one dribble and goes up for a classic acrobatic finish, but Green counters this by jumping at the exact same time with both hands up, absorbing the contact with his chest, before finally getting his right hand to block one of his 5 blocks as well from yesterday. Then Golden State ends the possession with the most important part, a defensive rebound. Why don't we give a shout out to Kuminga too? JK was more or less the second defensive option, and with Williamson on the perimeter, the entire Golden State roster has loaded up with their hands out in help positions. Kuminga still angles his body towards Zion's right hand, encouraging him to use that weak hand, but the second he crosses over to his left, Buddy Hield is ready to play off a non-shooting threat in Alvarado and reach for the ball. Defense is always a team effort, and Buddy is able to cleanly strip the ball and start a fast break opportunity. Here's another example with other Warriors players. Golden State is completely fine with Williamson getting a high pick and roll for him to go right. And with Looney in a drop, Zion does have a quick step on him, but is forced to finish with his left hand on the right side of the basket. This is obviously much tougher, and with Looney keeping his hands straight up, it's another great defensive possession. Another example with Looney, giving Zion a different look as a defender, angles his body to protect Zion from going left, so that first explosion to the right immediately warrants GP2 to help from the strong side corner off a non-offensive threat to make life difficult. Now he's seeing statues left and right, forcing Williamson to spin around and see literally 5 Golden State players in the paint. This is a perfect screenshot of the brilliant contest made by Dub Nation, forcing him into another tough, off-balance floater attempt and gets a stop. Okay, this one's fucking crazy. Williamson has Buddy Hield on an island, with Looney shading behind. Hield forces him to go to his weak right hand again, and you can see GP2 point to Waters to urgently help him. But somehow, in a different world, Buddy is able to keep his hands up, wait until after the jump stop, and predict Zion's timing on this elevation, and uses his left hand to finally strip the ball. Not only does he deflect it, the ball goes out on Zion as well. Great defensive play I've ever seen from a so-called non-defender in Buddy Hield. This one was golden too. On this snapshot, you can see Dray's got the wing shooter and points to Waters to peel switch, so he himself can take Zion's freight train of a fast break. Credit Moody for also coming to help, and with both guys jumping straight into the air, using a fundamental rule called verticality, Green gets the block at the end again. This was called a foul, but Dray called all ball before getting a challenge and overturned. What an amazing defensive showdown so far. If you love defense like me, this should get you pumped up. Williamson thinks he's got a head start by curling around and catching the ball to drive with a strong left hand. So Draymond Green sits in his lane, and now he's got help from 2 other dubs in Pajensky and Buddy Hield. Trying not to foul, Dray first gets a hand up to force Zion into a terrible 15-foot pull-up mid-range that hits all glass. But even though he clears this loose ball, the second time he's met with Kuminga and Green again, who gets another clean ball from behind. You just can't have better team defense than that. Second half is no different. Green tries to close out on this catch and then once again angles his body to force Zion to his right, then gets his full body in front to anticipate the drive and absorb the contact into an offensive foul. This guy's 34 years old, by the way. Zion was seeing statues everywhere last night. You got Dray waiting in the paint and Jackson-Davis sitting right there because this man is in the dunker spot. Green has his hands up without fouling, forcing Zion to a 360 spin move to his left. I mean, that's a pretty funky shot attempt if you ask me, and he barely hits rim. Another solid stop. You know what, Kyle Anderson, you get a turn too. Dribble handoff for Williamson to a catch and attack towards his left, and notice the Warriors go under the pick and do not switch. Anderson immediately slides his feet to force Zion to go behind his back to his weak right hand, into help where TJD is standing off a non-shooter. Team effort as Jackson Davis makes him uncomfortable on this missed left-hand layup, and now that's a frustration foul by Zion. With the Warriors extending the lead in the second half, they try to get Zion one last attack. You can see Draymond point to Anderson, knowing that a screen is coming and tells him to immediately switch. So the second the pick comes, Anderson bursts out and forces Zion once again to switch up back to his weak right hand. Honestly, he definitely should have finished this, but Golden State has taken the rhythm out of his game. So this last minute small contest by Draymond definitely still affected the finish, as Williamson bricks another attempt at the rim. I repeat, this was an absolute masterpiece. Post-up by Zion got Draymond on an island, but Dray's big lower body can hold its own while playing the strong left hand. Green initially kind of fouls him here, but fully anticipates a turnaround right to his left hand and keeps his arms straight to get his fingers on the ball to not only block it, but for Zion to throw up a whack-ass second attempt. Out on the Pelicans. Last but not least, with the game pretty much out of reach, this example was hilarious. On the first drive, Draymond Green correctly rotates as the weak side low man off a non-shooter to help. He also predicts that Zion will simultaneously be cutting, so the second Zion gets the ball on the baseline, Dray knows that he will try to use his body to either bump or jump stop in the paint. But instead of putting his body there, Draymond honestly kind of gives up and reaches behind, not only putting Zion off balance, but also gets a clean strip into a steal. GOAT defender. There you guys have it, a defensive masterpiece shown by Draymond Green and the rest of the Warriors as they shut out one of the league's bright young stars in Zion Williamson. Zion is a truck and takes a whole village to slow him down, but I want to highlight the defensive fundamentals and team effort it takes to stop him. From keeping your hands up, forcing him to his weak left hand, and making life difficult, the Warriors look extremely good despite missing Steph Curry. Now they have a quick break, so if you guys like this breakdown, like and subscribe to see more.